Welcome to another episode of VOIDWALKER. Fantasy role-playing action in space.
In space, you say?
In space, I say.
Wow.
I say.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, man. We get it.
Welcome, friends. We are the people who play D&D. This music is so...
It is
This
a
is
little
so
too,
lifted, my guy.
a little too extra for me at the moment. I appreciate it.
This is why we can't get monetized.
I doubt that this is
That's the reason.
This is the reason. This whole playlist is not going to work.
the
It's too good. No, it's all right. I gotta go find some
reason.
more chill.
Ezra Collective.
What about it?
Shout out to Ezra.
So now we're gonna play.
Did you need it here?
The Ezra Collective is awesome. We're gonna play.
But we're not gonna listen to
We're
them.
not gonna listen to them. So we're gonna put on the original motion picture soundtrack for Spider-Man
Of course, in honor
in honor of
Italian
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Jake's one and true
My
love.
One True Love. Spidey, big movie tomorrow morning. Very excited.
My one true love,
Very
Tom
excited.
Holland.
Very. That's true. That's one thing we can agree on.
Precious
We both think Tom
little
Holland
man.
is precious.
He's perfect.
He is perfect.
Although
He's
he's
a
not.
perfect little human.
He's not the best version of Spider-Man.
That's okay. I don't need him to be.
What's the best?
He is right
what's
now.
your
I
best
think
version?
you.
Jake Johnson's
That's
Pudgy
me.
Spider-Man is my favorite
Your
version
favorite.
of Spider-Man.
Emo Spidey.
You just relate.
Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man is...
You just relate.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is key.
Sorry.
He's key. You
This is another
keep
conversation.
your
It's
Tobey
important.
Maguire
I
hating
just have a
shit
different
off of mine.
perspective.
Campaign
I'm
for the
sorry.
I think it's important.
We'll be navigating Tobey Maguire's career this evening as four adventurers.
Pleasantville was great.
I did enjoy Pleasantville. I did really like that movie. I
Fix
just
this
don't
shit.
like the way he speaks.
I don't like a lot about his face.
Yeah, it's his face.
Just being real,
Oh.
man.
It's his face.
That's
Alright,
not a lot.
alright.
He was watching.
You're not gonna face shame? Looks shame?
I
I'm
think
so
you can do
sorry.
anything to white guys. That's fine.
That's fair.
Like,
If this gets us internet
Toby's
famous,
fine.
though,
Toby's got
I'll
money.
ride that. I'll ride
This
that.
is
coattail.
not an unpopular opinion.
No, I know.
is popularity of meanness
Yeah.
how we measure?
Of course.
We've all seen
Yes.
pictures of Tobey
Have you been
Maguire
on the
being
internet?
allergic to the air around him. We know you can see the picture right now in your head. This is an opinion that we did not start.
Okay.
People
Actually, the correct
already dislike
answer
Tobey Maguire's
is the
face.
Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. See
Wait,
Magnifique.
it's very good.
I have an important question.
Yes.
Do you have the audio on?
Ooh,
Yes, I do.
Good job.
good question.
My little red light. I decided to keep it only using this button to turn it on and off, and not that one, since there's a visual signal.
Excellent.
That's always
Can't
on.
remember two buttons.
I can't remember anything, man. I got to run a world for you. All right. Speaking of which, welcome.
Yo.
We play D&D sometimes. Not often. Not a lot. We'll get in short little snippets of it. If this is your first time watching, VOIDWALKER is just our IP. It's just like a homebrew setting. It just has it's a Magitech dystopia that
Has some delicious sci-fi notes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
some oaky sci-fi-ness.
A lot of tasty bits.
It's got some xenomorphs and some space
Barely.
westerns and some space operas.
There's
And
been Zerg before. That was fun.
yeah, it is intentionally tropey. It's like a universe built of movie tropes.
Great.
Is how I see it in my head.
Very 80s. I
That's
see. I imagine a lot
yeah.
of neon. Every time
Oh,
I
yeah.
imagine anything, any kind of like cityscape.
Yeah, neon lights, silly background noises. I wish I could find one of those like ASMR Blade Runner like soundscapes. No, I could do that. I don't know why I'm saying I wish. It would be really easy.
I
wish
If
I-
only there was
There's
a
a
way.
But I can't, guys.
Database that connected me.
It is out of my control. I
I
can't
can't
do that.
do it.
Unfortunately, there's nothing I can
I'm
do.
sorry.
My hands are tied.
I'm so sorry.
No
I wish I
ability
could.
to connect to the larger world.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to move on and not worry about that.
Well,
Um.
there's your butt.
Okay, so last time you guys, basically, the real short of it, you were baited into a trap. One of those traps that you know is a trap when you're going into it. But what are you going to do? They had your friend Adam hostage.
Well, oh yeah.
They,
He's still hostaged.
yeah, he's still hostage.
Oh fuck.
They
You guys didn't rescue him already?
no.
It's very complicated.
They are being the villain being a one Baron Zaroff, who later is revealed to be a vampire. He's a vampire that has like a really cool like Black Panther style like hunting suit, and he's been chasing them around the jungle.
That's awful.
And they fought him once, but he's just like
Oh, he's a slippery boy. Is he?
He's a slippery boy,
He's a
yeah.
Slippery,
Slippery
little
toad.
snake.
he's a slippery little toad.
Slippery guy.
And
Get my
a few
shit
things I
together.
wanted to change about last session. For one, no.
Hashtag retcon.
Hashtag retcon. You do have. Oh my goodness. You do have. This is not what I wanted.
Shit.
Damn it. Okay. That's fine. You have his staff, right?
Yeah.
You still have his staff. That's yeah. That's
Not
Period.
anymore.
not anymore. He did not come back with his staff.
Okay.
He doesn't.
So he doesn't have the
no,
Doug
there's
Funny
one
closet
staff,
staffs.
and you could tell that his helmet. I just didn't like that. I didn't like that he could just have that. It was too silly. So I wanted to be a little more gritty. He's kind of living out here. The scope of the power of this place. Maybe we should talk a little bit about the ring now that you've been on it. Is that like it is the blueprints for all the other like spacefaring gateways, and it is one of the most like I don't know. It's one of the oldest like relics that of the spacefaring age, and it has tons of magical properties, and they are more. It is more magical than it is technological. It's like very much like a transitional like technology. And he's been here a long time. That's the only other thing that you can kind of tell. And he's kind of lost it. Obviously, he's hunting people.
I mean, he's a vampire.
He's a vampire, but you know,
Seems
could be-
expected.
he could
But
be
no,
doing.
he's a murderous
He could be
vampire.
doing other things, and for some reason, he's content to live on this ring. I feel like that, even though that seems like that seems perfectly fine because we're used to that kind of thing in this game. That for the sake of like the story, like your characters would, it's a little strange
Okay.
that you know that there are vampires. Vampires are like a playable race in Voidwalker, you know, for advanced users. Like it's not a death sentence. It doesn't, you know, we can't have
players only.
we can't have like vampire RPG sessions and like the Matrix style
So good.
stuff,
I
you know,
love it.
Masquerade and all
Yeah.
that bullshit.
Let's
So
do it.
that exists too in the Voidwalker.
Let's go to one.
Yeah. So let's go to one
Right now.
right now. So you are on the ring. You started kind of setting off on foot down some very like obviously made pathways into obvious like traps. The last thing you encountered was a Tyrannosaurus Rex that's like 4 times as big as a
that's
prehistory T-Rex. And you can have a hero point, by the way. That's a good point.
Raimi.
Yeah, so it's a big thing. It's covered in feathers.
Smart.
Yeah, you're smart. I like it. It's fun.
Are dinosaurs my job?
Yes.
Yes, that's all history is. You ninny. I just want to hear about dinosaur cowboys. That's it.
I think we all do.
There's other things.
There
are.
There are.
Some
No,
more
cowboys?
places.
that's not a real thing. I'm kidding.
And we kind of found ourselves in this this kind of swampy graveyard of bones of large alien animals, and you were cornered by the T-Rex as it kind of like comes up and gives a big roar angrily, and the camera kind of pans back. Right as that happens, you see a stump that's kind of out in front of you pops up and then spins and twists, and out of it comes a big floppy-hatted Chester, who's
Hello.
and you're like,
How did
we found it. We found something.
you come this way?
Yeah.
Quickly.
Um,
How did you all get here anyway?
So you guys can choose to stay and fight the T-Rex, or you can conveniently
The T-Rex. Oh my God!
Yeah, I have it.
or you can choose to jump into this underground mechanical.
Let's go.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, it seems like we should just jump in, at least for a second. We can always pop back out and fight him.
Sure. We can go.
So one by one,
hunting
you
for
jump
these
in?
if you want.
Sure.
Yes.
Jump in.
Okay. So as you jump in, Doc, he takes his mechanical suit. He's got the arms, little rockets on him, and he's spinning the wheel, the hatch around as you guys come down this little ladder. And it is like a utility network. It's like almost like a sewer. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of like running water that goes through it, but it's access tunnels, and it's all concrete, like slab concrete, and set into the concrete as if by like someone's finger with a metal tool. People have their dwarvish runes, but they were clearly just as the concrete was setting, like someone was just going through and like marking. And so there's a texture that goes over all these spaces, and if you do your prestidigitation on top of any of them, as you kind of trace them, they'll light up. So this place is obviously magical, but think like magical sewer. So. And this is the behind the scenes. So if this was like a giant ride at an amusement park, this is the area you're not supposed to see.
Great.
Rainy.
And this is how you got past the magical barrier that separated you from the group. You and Doc found this access tunnel, and this opens up a new option for you. Now you can choose to split up. You can choose to head the other direction, because now you could potentially go try to find your ship. Or try to see that. I mean, the SOS. Your ship is at the graveyard, but your ship requires a part. Remember?
Right.
So, at the very least, Doc is like, I'll go do that because I'm not gonna lose my bounty. He's still trying to find Adam so he can sell him back, and
Okay, I guess.
yeah. I mean, at this point, it's he's good natured enough. He's very nice. He's very polite.
He hasn't tried to kill me like outright. I haven't been shot by him.
No, he's never shot you. That's true. And that's the barometer of how you pick friends. You've had a lot of that in your life, so.
Yes, I have.
It's really sad.
You two are quite lovely.
So you guys can head back that way. You don't necessarily have to just go continuing to hunt for Adam. Also, you have no way of knowing if Adam. I mean, he might even be in these tunnels. Like, who knows what this guy's intent is for you to do? But I imagine the being down here is a more direct route to the place you like to go on the top side, and thusly is the most dangerous route. Going through the jungle. What I've done is I just have broken it up into areas of movement, and I will just roll like old school style to see if you go through and see if anything happens. Or you guys can travel underground towards the temple, which is
Right.
that one side, and that will lead you on a path hopefully to find Adam. The other way would be towards the ship, and you can basically run either adventure, and Doc will try to do the other thing. If that makes sense.
Personally, I feel like we should go after Adam, not send a bounty hunter. Just saying.
Oh yes, that's
He hasn't shot you.
I tried.
But,
That's
really all he's
plan
been
is
going
tip
for
top
at this point.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah. So he's like, all right. Well, then I'll. And without much ado, he's like, well, it's going to take me at least a day to get to the other side of the ring. So on foot in these tunnels.
Guess you better get going.
He says, hope you don't die. And
Same to you.
He's just got his little jetpack, and he bounces off down. Little gnome. Okay. Cool. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to head back?
So this access tunnel continues on towards the temple?
Yeah. It basically, you can go subterranean through a restricted area and see the inner workings of this thing, or you can take the less direct route and the arguably safer route. There's just more like monsters and stuff up there.
Right.
So,
wait. Well,
I mean, it's like the expectation is that there's a habitat of things that are out there to kill you or be killed, and
yeah. No, it seems like we should just go this way. Where did you get all this food, Chester?
you found a vending machine. You raided it.
Going back there.
In that vending machine, you found a Mana Up energy drink as well.
Oh yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Is it mechanical? The things above us?
Meaning the top side?
Yeah.
So it is a sphere situation where there is stuff growing on top of mechanical stuff, but there's a magic binding it. And roll me a. You have Arcana? No.
No, I don't. Yes.
Roll me an Arcana.
You did it. You rolled it.
That's a nat one is what that is.
Oh man.
I don't have any hero points. I would give you
Which
one.
side is? Wait. This is hero point side, and what's this? Flash?
Just take the failure. It's more fun.
You can erase the flashback points. You guys don't have any flashback points this session. Not this
That's
session.
what that is. Okay.
Yeah. I figured they're more fun if they're sparse.
That's fair.
Okay. So with the nat one, it's a 9.
Okay. You try to interface with any of. You can see what appears to be like consoles, but it's all this etching. There's no circuitry that runs through here. There's no conduits, and you can like them. You can sense the magic, but you can't plug into it. Okay. And even when you try to communicate with it, it's not the same. It's more magic than it is tech.
Mm-hmm.
So
like trying to put a floppy disk in.
Yeah. You're trying to basically try to run any software that's even 5 years out of date on a new computer is such a pain in the ass. So just think tens of thousands of years.
Oh no.
And with that, yeah, sure. Oh, dope. Nat 20. Everybody roll initiative.
Oh god.
Woo!
Oh god. What's
Something
happened?
squeaked.
The Prowler's theme came
What's
on.
happened?
So
nat 20 initiative.
okay,
Woo!
cool. That means you get to go first. You feel right behind you someone pulling at the dagger that you have. Yeah.
Stop it.
Sure. Well, with that, I'm gonna cast Starlight. Oh shit. So
What does that do?
Daylight. It's a 4th level. As an action. I don't know what daylight is, so let me look that up real
Daylight's, yeah, it's like a 60 foot. No, it's like 120 foot.
Yeah, it's big.
It's a big one.
That's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Your feet are kind of bad.
60-foot radius sphere of light spreads out from a point I choose within range, which is the dagger.
Okay.
The sphere is bright light, sheds dim light for an additional 60 feet. Oh, you know what? It's gonna move from the gloved hand that's on me, actually, because I can choose an object. Oh no, not being worn.
Not being worn.
Never mind. Just the dagger then. It's coming from the dagger. And it is also starlight instead of just daylight. But
Sure. Since that's a level higher spell, in addition to doing its like anti-void stuff, the anti-dead space stuff that it does, you can select a number of targets that are inside the sphere, and they have advantage on spell saving throws
okay.
and spell attack rolls for the duration.
So any number of targets.
Yeah, up to your intelligence modifier.
Cool. So I will choose us and not
Ye-
Zeroff.
Yeah, exactly. It
Okay.
just allows you to go. These people in the light, they just have to be in the light. So
Right.
if they move out of the 60-foot radius, they lose the thing. So
Okay.
otherwise, it's just like, why would you cast it?
Why?
In this situation, why wouldn't you just pick daylight?
Because I don't have.
No,
access.
I meant on the in the metagame. Like,
got it.
why? Let's make it worth.
Okay.
Jumping on the spell.
And that is my action.
Cool. You want to move?
No, I'm gonna stay
Okay,
with
cool.
this guy.
He also rolled in that 20.
What is it?
Yay!
So yeah, and this is the first time you've seen these. When you guys crash, you were thrown from the crash, and you landed. Raimi.
This is Zeroff. He's not our
Sorry.
friend.
Not me.
Yeah.
He's pointing to something else.
Oh, sorry. It's off.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the
So
vampire looking.
Right. Okay.
yeah, Zaroff. He shows up and he's wearing like basically a carbon fiber like stealth suit.
Okay.
Then he has like these bat like manta. It's like Black Manta's helmet,
Okay.
but it's like a bat theme.
Okay.
It has kind of a '60s retro like diver vibe to it, and he's got like the like boa feathery thing going on, a little bit of a like you know
Yeah.
like I like to hunt, letting you know I like to hunt kind of vibe going on.
I'm into it.
And he rears back, startled by the sunlight.
That's cool.
But his helmet you can see has been repaired. It's a very crude, as if he probably just cast mending on it or something.
Yep.
So it has impaired his vision. So he is making his perception checks with disadvantage. And his hands, he kind of whips back his hands, and like blades like come out of the curves of his hands and make big like claws. And he is going to dive at you and try to hit you
That's not nice.
3 times. What's your AC?
You know what? I'm just shielding right now.
Nice.
So it
One
is
try.
22.
So yeah, you quickly react and produce the shield, and 22. That's not bad.
No, but it's not good enough.
It's not bad. Oh, yeah, but it's not good enough. The first one hits. The second strike misses. The third strike, damn, it misses. Okay, so yeah, you're just able to. You get hit the first time, and then you literally are able to start. You like manipulate the shield and move it between you and start countering his moves. He's legitimately impressed by how agile you are.
So
Quick.
agile.
So agile. Agile, you take 9 slashing damage.
Ooh, slashy slash. I say.
All right. He is going to. Yes, continue to roll you. That's the end of his turn. Who rolled the next highest in initiative?
I only have a 13.
I rolled a 14.
Did you roll
Rolled
chest?
a 21.
All right, Chesty. Go ahead.
That's what they call me. Chesty. So this guy.
And he has already used one of his legendary resistances.
Oh.
What's the room
last
look
session.
like right now?
Just imagine like a very clean, like it's just like a access tunnel for this entire island, and it's like a sewer system, but
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's not like necessarily water running through every part of it. It's just there are large conduits that are like set in the wall that kind of glow, and then there's all these like runes that have been traced on the walls, and it's just a series of small little modular rooms, and you guys were just kind of moving from area to area. Some of them break up into larger spaces and some into smaller.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a consistency.
But this is our only threat.
I'm not. Yeah. I mean, this is before you could really get going.
Yeah.
Old homeboy showed up.
Old homeboy.
Old homeboy, they call him. They call me old homeboy.
That's what they call me.
What are you doing?
Scorching Ray!
Oh God.
That's a miss. It's a lot. 24 to hit.
That hits.
25 to hit.
That hits.
And I'm altering the damage to acid damage.
Oh, dope.
Ugh. 12 damage. 12 acid damage.
12 acids. How did he attack last time?
He says claws built into his suit.
Okay. I'm done.
All right, pass the turn.
Shoot him! Shoot him! What is that? I don't like it.
How big is he?
He's just the size of a dude. He's a
Okay.
medium-sized creature.
Just medium-sized dude.
Dude size.
He's just a dude.
I'm gonna
Pocket sized dude.
He's
just use an unarmed strike attack.
Go for it. Punch him.
Punch him.
Crack his.
Punch
I'm gonna break his arm.
That's not what that means. But
Why not?
it's a different thing altogether.
Punch him.
16.
Awesome. That
Yes?
does not hit.
No?
No.
Okay, what about
Awesome for me.
Awesome for me.
not nat 20?
That hits. How many attacks in your attack action? 2?
2.
Awesome.
And then
You want to take your bonus
I do. I'm going to
flurry?
no, I want to spend a key point to stun him. Do a stunning strike.
Nice.
Cool.
Can I read that one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just new for me.
What's your key save?
They must succeed a con save. Okay.
Yeah. What's your key save?
14.
He fails.
Nice. So
But
he's stunned
by
until my
one.
next turn.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay.
And he also
So yeah, he's
takes...
like, you like, you just hit him in the like, you get it in position, and it's just like a pressure point thing.
Yeah.
And even on this old
He also
vampire.
takes 8 damage.
Ouch.
If the second one hit.
Yes.
My second attack was
Yes.
a 21.
Yes, it hit.
No.
You are not dealing as much damage as you would be if you were fighting with a magic weapon, because you have not reached a high enough level of monk.
That's not true. My unarmed strike count as magical for the purpose of overcoming.
Nice, good job, good
resistance.
answer. That's a good
Read
answer.
that sheet.
You know your fucking class. I'm proud of you. Have a hero point.
Yeah. Thanks. Anthony.
And he's like, oh, it actually hurt more.
Owie!
Owie! That's no good.
Oh, that hurts.
Oh, it hurt more.
Hurts
Actually,
more.
Are you
hurt even
Are you
worse.
done?
Get me out of here.
Can I still take a bonus action?
You did?
I don't think
I
stunning
spent a
strike
key
is
point
bonus.
to
Oh yeah,
stun,
yeah,
but-
yeah. You can still take bonus action.
All right, then I'm gonna deal him another 3 damage
That's not right.
with my Kinsai shot. I can add damage to. Oh no!
Yeah,
That's my gun.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's with your weapon. You have
That's
to
fair.
kind of do that beforehand. You can make another. You
I
can make
see.
You can do a flurry of blows and make 2 more attacks if you want to.
Okay.
Sure.
Spend a key
Yeah.
point and just start punching them.
Punch the shit out of him.
2 more
Punch and
attacks.
kick and punch. Violence will solve all your vampire problems.
Yes.
Uh,
Violence and
woof.
fire.
I'm gonna
That's
use
true.
that inspiration and roll them again.
Burn it.
We don't need
That's
that.
better.
Burn that.
Non-nat 20 and 21
Yes.
on both.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
How long does
18.
your spell last? Is it concentration or is it
It's
just
concentration, and I made the save. It is 1 hour.
18 more damages.
Nice. Yeah. You get him good.
What spell?
Starlight.
Oh yeah, that's right. What an hour.
All right.
He's
great.
stunned.
Yeah, he's stunned. Who do you want to pass the turn to? Who's not gone yet?
Take it away, 10.
10.
Should fashion wooden stake. Just saying. He's definitely a vampire.
It's a cute idea, but like, what's down here that's wood?
Also, you know that the stake. Last time we went through the
No, did it have to be in his house?
has to be in his place of resting.
Oh,
just take
I
his
remember you
house.
saying that.
But you know what? I will say if you've got a wood, I don't think they have to be the resting place.
Got a wooden stake.
I like the idea that they just go like offline, that they just like shut down, and if you take the wood out, like there's no actual lasting ramification other than they go inert. So I'm gonna roll that that's what happens in the Voidwalker. So if you got wood, yeah, you can
I don't think I...
I don't think
Roll-
he got wood.
roll a perception, see if you find any wood.
Somebody go back up to the top. Bring me back some wood.
I can do that.
Fight the T-Rex.
I'm fast.
Perception. 16.
At the corner of your eye, you see a smashed barrel, and there is a piece of wood that is right there, big enough. It's a big piece of steaky, medium rare. I don't know.
Nice. Would you say it is already steak shaped?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah. It's a giant splinter that is like something hit the crate and it just like shattered into.
Though cool, it would be probably
Thanks, Yoda.
counterintuitive to catch it on fire first.
Ooh.
It is wood, and we can probably get another one. There's a whole barrel.
You do you is what you
It's
say.
like, well, what I was gonna do beforehand.
You just do it. You don't tell us.
Okay.
Well, you can.
For the effect.
I don't listen now.
For the effect, I'm going to
Stop it.
searing smite with this
I love it.
steak.
Smite
I
it.
love it. You have to roll with disadvantage because this is not a weapon that you're trained. You haven't trained with stake fighting.
It's
Fair enough.
okay. You roll a 14.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and he's they used to have a
So you would add Dex modifier.
1d6 fire.
Yeah, we need to know if you hit first. Where's
Oh.
your actual?
I'm gonna say she hits because he's stunned.
Okay. Right.
So
Fuck him
Okay.
up.
So
you just plunge it right into his chest. Yeah.
Flaming.
And when you do, well, let him have a little save over here. What was your 14?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he snaps out of it and starts to scream, and as he does, his you hear like the, it's inside of a helmet, so it's like, and then just like, and he's literally just like,
Still stunned.
yeah. Well, now he just starts to like fall over. He's like paralyzed.
great.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's that.
What would happen if I kicked him?
Is that it?
You would just be you could keep kicking him. Yeah.
Could I kick his head off? Could I
You-
kick him so hard that
well,
his head came off?
You could take his helmet
It's
off.
definitely not lower than CR1, but I like the idea.
You could take his helmet off and cook him in the starlight. that is being cast
That's
in
a
this
great
room.
idea.
Let's strip him naked.
Yeah, so you just pop the helmet off, and as soon as it pops off, his flesh begins to just burn down and
Oh my
sear
God.
and cook, and the smell of like
Jesus.
brimstone and
Ah.
sulfur fills the air. And
What?
he has this
Oh
look
my
of
God.
horror on
My
his
face
face,
as I
but
hold him near
because
the
he has
fire.
the stake inside of him, he can't move or scream.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
it's-
Why would we do
it's-
that?
It's horrible.
Oh!
It's absolutely horrible.
Wow.
Oh!
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a fucking horrible creature,
Yeah.
she says, as she's like shoving his face in the flames.
It's like,
Wow.
goo, man.
I take some of Chester's snacks and I roast
Not
them
exactly, but you get it.
above.
Oh, Chester's
We're
losing
I'm not
his
even
snacks.
gonna eat these
Whoa,
because you'll know I'm
You're
not that
just
into
ruining
food.
the snacks
Oh.
now.
I thought you wanted this.
When that happens, after he's this
terrible.
crispy, well done version of himself, all of you, the mithril bands, the control bands, snap, and they pop off your neck, and they're no longer magical. You can
Nice.
still wear them for fashion.
No, that's fine, thank you.
You say to
We
them.
might keep the mithril.
You know, my,
You know, she can make stuff.
That's true.
this is valuable.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, you killed him,
Great.
so that's my whole session. So, good night.
Have a good night.
The end.
It is not. Is it?
No, you still have to go do the things. That's how this game is played.
I know, I'm just asking.
No, I don't care if you kill the guy. He was not a major villain. He was just he was a Taylor's request. He wanted to see this type of campaign.
This is what happens in D&D.
Yeah.
We kill it.
But as always, you just plan where you make the environment bad guy. It's not about Mr. I stole it out of a
Environment
book.
is evil.
Yeah.
That's understood.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Big Oil.
Also, looking at
You guys are worried about
his
fucking Toby
half-charred
Maguire.
body, that as you continue to he continues to cook in the starlight. So he eventually, if you sit there the whole hour, he turns to dust. So he's quite dead. No pop-up scares
Really
from this
fucking
guy in the
dead.
future.
How's that armor looking? Like, did that get cooked with them, or is it
No, it's
pretty functional?
yeah, it's pretty functional.
Do you have any weapons?
Too bad none of us are proficient in armor.
Um,
Who needs
it's
it?
magic. I'll identify it.
oh, there you go. It is.
Oh, we just spend the hour sitting here with us.
Just staring at it.
Rituals.
It is magic. The armor does not require you to be proficient with armor to wear.
Would you look at that?
The helmet, though, is not usable.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Whatever, like the opaque gemstones that he was looking through. I guess you need to be a vampire to be able to use.
Okay.
Yes, you gotta be a vampire.
Guess so.
You take you take this armor. You were interested in it first.
I'd look real cool in this.
I would not. I think.
Roll me an Arcana. Arcana. Roll me an Arcana, Mary.
That armor is hers.
You whore.
22.
22. You're like, yeah, this is this armor is intended to be extra light. It seems to increase speed and reflexes.
Interesting.
He kind of looks at the helmet. You're like, I don't really understand how this works, and you like throw it to the side. It must be broken. But yeah, and the and it increases your speed by 10 feet.
Nice.
And if it helps if you have the sunlight sensitivity tagged, so it's like specifically for vampires, drow.
Yeah.
It's Daywalker armor or something like that.
So sunscreen. built
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Don't have to worry about that
yeah,
anymore.
for sure.
Great.
10 SP.
5 more minutes, I get to sleep in the morning.
That's awful, man. You guys killed him so much,
Yeah.
so much. So he's
Is it-
dead.
Killed
Is
the
it just
fire.
leather armor? Like
No, it is half plate. It's half plate and it does not impose
Okay.
disadvantage.
holy
Are
shit!
there weapons on him?
It doesn't require.
Dang, what's your AC now?
Oh yeah, and they allow you to make an unarmed strike. That's a D8.
Super cool.
And
Nice.
it gives you that vampire strike where they can you can, instead of dealing damage, grapple a target,
Okay.
and the DC is to escape is 18, so you can
Oh,
just
wow.
grab things.
Super
those
grab.
claws, yeah.
Wow.
Big paw.
Good for you.
That's some dope shit.
It's awesome.
And it uses whatever. I don't care.
I feel like that fits your character more.
Yeah,
Makes
no,
sense.
It makes far more sense for me to wear that than you.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And it's the kind of thing that you could wear underneath
Alright.
clothes
Cool.
very easily, and just give you more of a
Well,
straight
cool.
up superhero aesthetic.
Strip down naked right now and put that on.
And you do that. It takes a few minutes. It takes about 10 minutes to get all the pieces.
And because I do it alluringly.
Yeah, and
And for 10 whole minutes, we all have to just stand in
Stand.
silence and try to avoid eye contact.
Because I'm trying to
10
make it.
whole minutes.
Just waiting.
while
everybody's
he's
just
doing
like-
this, you in the next for this next 10-15 minutes as he's getting all the pieces on,
Sue is quite dank.
roll me a perception.
Just her?
Yeah.
10.
What's the name of your little unicorn bunny?
Appa.
Shit.
Where is it?
Damn T-Rex.
Appa. Appa.
It
Has
seems
anybody seen Appa?
seems to have run
What
off.
the fuck is off?
We have a
My-
unicorn rabbit now.
It's
What?
this little guy.
I pull out a wanted poster that I just made.
A contextual item.
Yeah. looks like
you
this.
don't know where it went.
Oh no.
Where did you find
Can
a
anyone
bloody
like
unicorn?
detect
What is
him?
that?
Does anyone have any magic that could detect him? Her? You assholes! I know
You know my
you do.
hero
I know
point.
you do.
Can Fred smell Appa?
That's a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do a perception with advantage for his little
Little smell thing.
ferret or whatever.
That just made my night. That was great.
That was great. So he's gonna have my perception. So 22.
Yeah, you can. He immediately leads off down a sloping incline
Okay.
that, as you look at it, something you should channel through here. Maybe water. Maybe this is like a waterway, but you can. It's just steep enough that you can kind of like do one of those like little hop runs as you go down it. And as you get further down here, you notice that the light that was kind of there was conduits that kind of were hanging from different parts of the ceiling, and flowing through these conduits are magical energy, and that's just kind of been the ambient light of this space, producing dim light. And as you go a little bit deeper into the space, right at the edge of the light, that you had to have waited a full hour with that
Yeah.
thing. So the sunlight spell's done.
Yep.
But you guys have other ways of casting light,
We've
I'm
got
sure.
this ghost lantern,
Oh yeah, for sure.
if nothing else.
Well, there you go. So you have the ghost lantern. So Frank, right? Fred.
Fred.
Yes,
Fred.
Fred.
Fred gets up to the edge of the light and like looks back at you as like he's like, I'm not going in there like, without, but
No.
he's like this way though.
You smell him?
Yeah. Lucy went that way. But
But he's not. He's not even gonna go
What's through the doorway?
Fred's not gonna go. Fred's asleep.
Can I see? Is there?
It is like a big archway. It's big enough that I don't know, maybe large vehicles could move through. But as you go down it, the slope you're on kind of levels off.
Yeah.
And as you go through the darkness, you then see that as you pass through the archway, that it opens into like a basin. It's like a big swimming pool. It's a big, soft, like rounded concrete area. There are a series of drains that sit in the floor. And you can see up on the far side a glowing, like on the far side outside of the pool, you can see the back of what is obviously some sort of control panel, and it is glowing. You can see like the faint glow, and that's the only light that's coming from this room. So as you guys kind of walk into this space, and roll a perception.
Everybody?
Sure.
What a guy.
19.
21.
Show off.
9.
Mine was a 1. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19.
19.
You see Appa. He's all the way
Yep.
at the far end, and
I see
seems
it.
to be like sniffing at something on one of the drains.
That's an Almirage.
I kind of whistle when you point him out.
Yeah, look there.
You do that, and you guys have to get a little bit closer because of the light. And you can see that he looks up, but then he keeps he's like chewing at something that's at the edge of the drain, like a viscous, like.
Ew, this is bad news. I'm gonna
Good old viscous.
investigate. Yeah, get closer and try to keep him from eating it, but cautiously be aware that this thing could be very
Okay,
dangerous.
roll a perception or an investigation.
19. Investigation.
Yeah, you get close and you're like, what is that? And at first you think that there's it looks like the liquid is coming out of Appa into the drain, but then you look closer and because of the ghost light lantern makes this ghostly green hue. It's a moss. He's just eating a moss that's been growing on this space, and you pick him up and you're like, I was so worried that I had lost you, and you grab him, and as soon as you do that, you all
Say
hear
that,
or whatever you say.
We're gonna kill that fire.
You hear a click and then a slam as lights in the room start to light
It's
up,
a trap.
and you see a second incline that was above the top. It's 2 tunnels. A doorway opens in the back that you can't see, but you see light start kind of coming out of it, and it's a soft red glow, and then there's this hot lava, this liquid molten lava that is starting to drop into this this pool that you're in. It's not actually lava, it's a superheated magic bullshit. But
Everyone, the floor is lava.
the floor is lava, and then standing at the console is everyone roll me a perception as a figure darts away.
Nat 20.
Nat 20?
Yeah.
You see what looks like you can see the silhouette of a humanoid as it runs to a little alcove and then disappears. So someone turned on this when you walked in the room.
Can we
Just
make
waiting.
it to that alcove?
Quick! And I
Yeah,
pull out.
it's not far away from where you're at.
I pull
I
out
think we
4
should go
of my beans from my fanny pack of jumping beans, and I toss one to each of you, and I'm gonna eat
What's
one.
it do?
And then it
We don't know.
I think it triples your
Yeah,
jump.
you all just go boing, 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 boing.
Whoa!
I'm just gonna pocket mine and walk like a normal fast person.
Yeah, so they all just bump. They're able to jump out of the 15-foot lip of this pool really easily. Go ahead and make
Well, I've
the
got Appa in my
athletics
arms,
check as you try to climb up this incredibly smooth.
Was it that smooth?
Yeah, it's very
No.
smooth.
Still gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Good old athletics. 14 athletics.
Yeah, so you get up there and you kind of put your fingers, and even with the claw hands, you start to kind of slide.
Can
down.
I grab him?
Yeah, there's this about a centimeter of this hot liquid stone is starting to pour up in you. Yeah, go and grab and have advantage on your
Eat the
on
fucking
that roll.
bean.
There you go.
Full of lava. I can't bounce on it anymore.
That's right.
This is athletics again?
Yeah.
19.
All right, yeah. So you can grab him by the arm and you guys pull him up. And with that, it isn't it's going to fill, and you can see that as it gets up to a certain level, the system shuts off. But now the way you were going is cut off from you, and you are kind of trapped in the backside of this room, like the observation deck. And as she saw the alcove that the creature ran into, you see that there is an access tunnel and a hidden door that somebody had moved through and didn't have the chance to close, or didn't close behind them. But it leads you into what is going to be essentially the layer between the exterior of the underside of this station and the mechanical layer, so it's a little less protected. Unless you have some creative ways to get back over the lava slide. It's a 20-foot incline. I cannot speak tonight. It's a 20-foot incline, with just kind of this like rolling plasma, we'll call it, and it just like drains in this pool, and the whole room seems to be like powered by it, and you can feel even like the station seems to kind of move and kind of whir underneath your feet. So if you guys can get back up there through flight or something, you can keep going the way you're going, which is the way you needed to go, and the less dangerous route.
How long has it been since the Munchkin ran away?
15 minutes.
Okay. Well, damn. That took long.
Or, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Okay. Now, say we just go this way. See what happens.
Okay.
It's the hell of it.
The path
What could go wrong?
leads up through a series of
It's fun.
super slim access tunnels, and the ends in a dead-end hallway that has a ladder that leads out. As you guys take the ladder, you have to pop open a hatch, and it takes you to the exterior of the ring. You're just on the edge of where the atmosphere is being generated, and through here, the air is very thin, like super high altitudes. Let's say staying out here is dangerous. I won't tell you exactly in what capacity, but this is bad for you. You're on the edge of livable space, and any Constitution saves or checks you make while out here will be made with disadvantage because of how inhospitable this area is. But you're able to walk with an almost normal gravity. Your speed is reduced by 10 feet out here because of the slight bounciness to kind of hop from space to space. Moonwalk.
Is that the same for me since I had
No.
built in moonwalk?
No,
Okay.
you can walk like normal. This is you're in your element. I don't think you even have to worry about. I don't think any of this applies to you.
Okay.
I think you're fine.
Great.
Robot lady.
Losers.
Well, fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Go bounce around the ship.
Appa kind of like squirms and chirps in your arms. He's struggling. He wants to get free from you. He doesn't want to be out here. You're going to have to hold on to him tight, which is not hard for you, but you're going to make disadvantage on your attack checks while you're having to kind of wrangle him. Otherwise, you can release him and have no disadvantage, but he's going to he's like panicking. He's trying to run away from you because he's a dumb wild animal. He doesn't.
Yeah. I'm not gonna let go of him just yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Along
Stakes
the
aren't high
edge of this place, so basically you guys are walking, the camera would be like set at the angle that kind of makes sense for the ring, and you guys are all kind of walking upside down. You can see maybe a football field away a doorway, like another access tunnel, and obviously if you can make the trek, kind of the sprint, you can get back inside and get back on track, back the way you should be going. But this spacewalk is going to be kind of dangerous. So let's go around the table, and I want we'll just do like a skill challenge. You can use whatever skill you think is the most appropriate, or you can use a spell, or something clever. I'm not going to tell you what they are.
It's empty space between us.
It's like, imagine like it's like a natural terrain that leads into like a rocky like moonscape. So there is some dying vegetation that kind of makes it difficult for you to run around. There are big craters, and coupled with you not being able to move like normal and it being really hard to breathe out here, it's a little trickier.
Can I like hopscotch from one?
Yeah.
Hold
You just gonna have to make me an athletics check or an acrobatics check. This is just a skill challenge. So if you have a
Dex
skill that you
check.
think, well, yeah.
With disadvantage, because I'm holding Appa.
No, you can move. It only affects your attacks.
Oh, okay.
I will cast guidance on you as you're going.
Oh, I forgot we have
Jumping
guidance.
to lead you down the right path.
Thank you.
So you get a
hear a voice once in your ear that says something. If something's dramatic,
You get a D4?
Like add a
D4.
Like
You
add a
add a
D4
D4
to
to your
this
roll.
roll. Thank you, voice.
Run, Lucy. Run.
Nice. Oh man, I needed it.
use your
guidance
die, Lucy. We the four Beatles. from Liverpool.
19.
Yeah. So,
Acrobatics.
yeah, you make it. The first little bit, you just.
Oh my
Whoa,
god!
Oh,
Those
God.
are so
Jimmy did.
dangerous.
Forgot it.
Sorry.
This is quite the Jimmy.
Boom, Jimmy.
Jim.
Yeah, sure.
I make it.
You make it. It is you do acrobatics?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just take like a running leap and you just scale. It's probably the easiest for you because you just make the arc and then you just land. Matrix style, just a big long jump and look back at everybody. Chester, why don't you go ahead and make your
Fire
skill.
my grappling hook.
Yeah, nice.
Smart.
Awesome.
New guy.
Click.
Guy the grappling hook.
Just roll me roll me to hit. What are you aiming at out there? There's an old like toppled tree that seems to be kind of like pulling its root system is up in the vegetation, but you can see that the bottom half of the tree has been sitting out in space and is starting to wither. That's a good one. There's also a big
Rainy.
outcropping of geodes. You could maybe, with enough force, it'd be kind of you can't tell at this distance whether the grappling hook will be able to break through it or not, but it'd be a much sturdier.
I'll go for the
option.
geodes.
Okay, cool.
I don't have the damage. It's 21.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you fire, and you hit it right there, and you're able to, and it keeps you as you.
Use my reaction to grab his foot.
Yeah, you grab his foot.
Yeah. Come on!
Awesome. When you do that, you grab his foot, and he's gonna pull you. Hey, that's fine. That works. There's no reason that shouldn't work. Well, I don't know.
Quick, grab his foot!
You kill another vampire.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah, it's fine.
casually walk.
And...
Like maybe strut a little bit.
It's
I
It's
forget,
not-
You're just like walking.
Yeah, it's
through
just-
all of this stuff like it's nothing. I like
Nice.
that.
all right. As you get about halfway across this expanse, you notice that a thick bramble kind of juts out of what is like a crater, but almost looks like a cave because of its orientation. It is a crater, but it is sitting up at an angle. And there was this like dense set of vines that like lived inside of this, maybe 20 feet taller than you. Just this humongous outpouring of different size vines, some as big as tree trunks. But it's all dead and withered. You guys are going to have to kind of work your way over and through it. It's certainly difficult terrain.
For
Leaping.
some reason, feel like there might be a large worm in there.
Wow.
It's a weird feeling to have right
It's
now.
a weird feeling to have.
I don't know anything about space
Oh,
worms that
man.
would inspire you to think they
Does
hang out in
anyone else-
crevasses.
Does anyone else know anything about space worms?
I might.
Might I?
I'll roll a nature.
Roll nature.
Have I heard anything about a space worm before?
26.
You're like, I wouldn't worry about space worms, but maybe that giant shambling mound might be dangerous.
Oh no.
More
It's
likely.
moving.
It is, but only in the sense that it's gone into an inert, like creeping form. You know, you're like, oh, it's basically hibernating right now. It's so desperate for kind of clinging to life. It's gone into like a survival mode.
So don't poke it.
If you
Can't
don't,
wake it.
if you don't agitate it too much, it will not wake up. You should be able to get past it. If it wakes up, you know that it will be twice as vicious as it would be when it wasn't quite as hungry.
It looks
This
sleepy,
sounds
but if we were to wake it,
This
it
sounds
seems
be
likely it would be
extra hungry.
twice as mad.
He rolled like
Twice as hungry.
Yeah.
It would be twice as hungry. And this sounds exactly like the kind of thing that we do that I almost die every time.
Is this a riddle?
It's not a riddle.
It's not a riddle, it's just a creature.
Why don't you just deliver everything like it's a riddle, Chester?
Well, I'm not very good at riddles.
I am.
I'm sorry. I'm not The smartest in everything.
Into the cave.
Okay, we're not doing
Wait,
well at the whole
Isn't the
stealth
cave the
thing.
monster? Don't we just want to go to the door?
Yeah, the door is
Sorry, I'm
the cave. Yeah, the cave is just kind
Stop.
of. Yeah, she's like, all right, into the cave. Starts climbing over it.
Wait.
She's like, this one?
Wait a minute.
Poking it.
Wait.
Okay.
I didn't poke it. Just to be clear.
This is the Shambly Mound.
So
This
you
way?
all can attempt to make acrobatics checks
Okay.
or dex checks to do a little moon jumpy, like from barren spot to barren spot.
Okay.
Basically, the difficulty being that the gravity here is very strange. You're not used to this, so this is.
I'm gonna let Appa do his own thing right now. Is
Okay.
this not a scenario in which he can handle?
He's like scratching at you to get
He's
away.
still
from
trying
you.
Seems
to
like
just
an
get away.
awful decision.
Okay, I'll hold on. You got this.
Into the mound.
I wanted her to do it so bad. I'll just be like, yeah.
Go right.
Yeah.
There's no way giving the DM control of a creature right now would be bad.
As it's struggling to get out of your arms.
I hold on to him.
All right. Good move. Good answer.
Oh. Vampires, no problems.
All right. Who wants to make the first dex acrobatics?
I don't want to make a dex or acrobatics.
I will.
He just ignores me. As he should.
Oh. 14.
You jump, and you're able to. You're like, all right, I'm just get a little 5-foot run, and you angle it in a way that you clear the first set of these. Almost look like a redwood tree has fallen over. It forms almost a wall, so you can't even see the full entirety of the field until you're over it.
Mm-hmm.
And you picked, like, you could see where the clearings were because of the movement of the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't pick the best ones. So you kind of moved. You clear it, but you land further
Kind of far
away
away.
from where you need to be. So your next check is going to be
Okay.
much harder. But you kind of do like a gymnast thing. I feel like where you just kind of like pace around in the space where you can and like stretch yourself and get ready. And we'll cut to somebody else.
So
If I can do it, you can do it, right?
jumping over is the only real.
Is
That's
there
the one
anything
I'm
I
gonna
can
offer
grab
you.
onto?
Can't like. So there's no like stepping over this thing, right?
Not this first one. Maybe some of the other ones. But I mean, you could also do an athletics check. It would be a little less.
Does it have varying thicknesses of skin on it?
Yeah.
So I would like to spend a few seconds looking at it for a path of thicker looking skin that I could stealthily crawl over like a fly man.
There is a very large like chunk of the vine that is exactly like this thing is ancient and overgrown, a product of the magic of this place. But it is also covered with an ivy that forms a network of like hairs, more or less. So there's plenty of spaces for you to like disperse your weight, so you're not moving it around, but you don't feel comfortable. As you get close to it, doing a little bit of a magic flare, you can see it like passively react to you. So I think it broadcasts
feel like the investigation lead me to not.
Yeah, I feel like that would be smarter.
Smarter.
What's the matter? Nothing. What's the matter with you?
Does it feel like there's any sort of mental state attached to this creature?
Can you read minds?
I can be aware of mental
He can
states.
Deanna it.
I feel great emotion.
You have empathy.
I can detect thoughts.
Okay, yeah, for sure. No.
No. So doesn't seem like it has greater than 3 intelligence. To get all
I can
mechanic
give you,
on you.
No, I can give you that.
Just jump over it.
I want to make this hard.
Jump. Just come on.
Not all of us are great at jumping.
Look at Jester. How is he
It-
gonna do this?
You
I'm
need to
holding
know
all
what
of
about
my
it?
shit.
I mostly just need to know that it has a mind.
Its intelligence is higher than 3.
Okay, great. I'd like to cast Suggestion.
Okay.
Okay.
And so it needs to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Can you
And
suggest something? Oh yeah, you can suggest things.
Stay asleep.
I rolled a disadvantage, which is good for you because that was a nat 20
that is
and a
good.
9. You said wisdom.
Yeah,
What's your spell save?
16.
Yeah, it fails.
Great. I'm gonna scramble
Cool.
over it. While
Yeah, so yeah,
sending
you
sleepy
just-
thoughts its way.
You do that when you do that. All the little ivies, all the little stretchy feelies, they all just kind of flop over, and you take that as you aren't even sensitive. You're just like scramble, and you get over the other side of it, and the 6 seconds are over, it pops back up. But yeah, you land on a spot. You are further back.
I can keep it asleep for 8 hours.
Oh, for 8 hours.
Wow.
Suggestion?
Yeah, suggestion. It whiz save or follows suggested course of action.
It is already sleeping.
Right, but it's like
I get that.
A deep-
But I'm gonna
And
say
that's fine.
I'm gonna say that the intent of that spell, you said it's like stay asleep. I'm like in that moment you were extra
Alright.
giving it a little extra because it is technically asleep. So now it is done with your suggestion. It has
Okay.
gone to the sleeping mode. So that
well done.
mechanically as it's
Oh
written.
yeah, no, that's fair. I will reword my suggestion.
But
Yeah.
there you go. You can be pedantic and get me to just feel like I give up. You win.
Know you as a player.
You win.
He's into that.
You win. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have one at every table. Yeah. So you slide over. That being said, you just get over like the hump.
Right.
You are even further back behind Lucy over here, who sees you as you get over the wall, and she doesn't know what you did, so she just sees you like climbing over it, and
Oh my gosh.
like the fuck, guy. Alright, that's pretty fun. Who wants to go next?
Sure, I'm gonna jump.
Oh, just
It's fine, right? It's
Get a good running start, Chester.
Okay,
Yeah, he's like getting all.
No,
his
no,
bags
farther.
What?
Even farther.
Back further? Okay.
Like as far
How can
back
you
as,
see me?
as far back as you can go.
Okay.
She can't. She's just assuming.
Yeah, you need a really good running start.
All right.
Chester.
Here I come.
Good job.
But don't jump too
Mission
far.
accomplished. I've been playing the long game.
Contract fulfilled.
13?
You
Hero point?
Oh no, Chester.
you barely get over the wall. Like you pull up your legs and then like your cloak and it feels like slow motion.
You're in, like,
And you
a
see
ball.
Chester's ass just like fly down, and you're like, oh god, and you
Oh,
almost hit
God.
the thing as he kind of like lands right in front of you. So you guys are right next to each other, just as far back,
All on
just
top of you.
Welcome.
yeah, but not.
See?
Yep.
It's just fine.
Ooh.
All right, 10.
That was close.
It's all you.
You got this.
Jumpity jump, jump.
I can believe my pants are already
Jump
brown.
on Oves.
20.
Nice.
Dope.
You are significantly further. She just matrix jumps further than Lucy. Lucy sees her and is like, shakunk. And you just land, Iron Man style.
Get on my level.
What?
After you guys make this round of jumps, and you kind of settle, and you can still see the distance that's in front of you, this thing is sleeping, but as you're closer to it, you can see now that it's kind of undulating, as if it is a creature. I mean, it isn't like a bundle of plants. It is like,
Oh no, I want to move away
yeah,
from
it's
it.
actually a creature, but it's kind of crisscrossing like kudzu. It's just covering everything, and there's little spots where you can see that you can move. Make me a Constitution saving throw after everybody making those jumps out here in this space. Make it with disadvantage, except for Esmeralda over here.
Disadvantage?
Yeah, because of
Damn.
how thin the air is.
Oh no.
18.
10.
5.
Um,
Oh wait. Well, there are things that give me advantage on dex saving throws, but
This is a Constitution saving throw,
oh yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay. so that will not help you.
No.
Fail. What'd you say?
10.
Fail. What'd you say?
14.
Fail.
18.
Succeed. Yeah, you can. It's like as soon as you land, the air is super thin. You're getting further away from it the closer you get to this doorway. It's more like the last little bit. It's gonna have to be kind of a mad dash
Yep.
to get into it before you pass out. Everyone take a level of exhaustion, except for you.
Surprise, surprise.
Make
level
me
exhaustion.
a dex save as Appa tries to squirm out of your hands.
Burp. Excuse
9.
He jumps out of your hand and lands at your feet, and you go to like grab him, and before you can, in this new gravity, he kind of propels himself.
And I kill him.
Oh God! And he lands in a patch of bramble, and once
Mage hand!
It hits the patch of bramble. Your mage hand. You produce a mage hand. We'll call this the start of your next round. So you won't be making any movement this next round, but I'll let you use your turn to save Appa
Okay.
and not wake the beast.
Okay.
So you don't have to make. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you produce the mage hand, and he catches it just in time, and you pull Appa up to you, and now you have the little rabbit thing in your hands. It's going to make you make all your checks with disadvantage because it does not trust you. So you're actually like
I'm already at disadvantage on all my checks.
Yeah, okay, well, you're just
I'm just really fucked.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
what is
this.
exhaustion
Thank you.
do?
What? Oh my god!
He loves you. You saved his life.
It's like fighting me.
Yeah, he's like
literally
he's like
biting at me.
poking you with his horns.
Stop it.
All right, that's fine. So you don't move this time.
Sure.
Sorry.
That's okay. This is Chester's lot.
I
in
don't
life.
own this animal. It just keeps
But let's go
following
around
us.
the room.
I have
Who
kids.
do you want to do the next jump?
It's cute.
Yes.
Okay. So you're gonna jump to the last third of this.
Can I make a dash action specifically? Like,
You
it's
can
like
use it.
a
You can
dash?
use a key point to
Okay.
give yourself advantage on this
okay.
acrobatics check if you want to,
I would love to.
using your step of the wind.
Step of the wind.
I'm sorry. Just a dex.
Acrobatics.
Acrobatics. 18.
Yeah, very cool. You just like jump, and this time trying to make your mark, you don't arc as high.
Mm-hmm.
You cover more space. You jump right towards this section of bramble that kind of outcrops up, and you have to kind of like bend through and like thread the needle, and you get just through it, like you barely. Yeah, you're able to get to the next little spot, and where you land, it's all kind of barren, and it's just going to be a mad dash. So you're just going to have to wait there, and we'll pass to the next person.
I'd like to banish it. Charisma saving throw.
The bunny or?
No, the entire thing.
Oh. Just wanted to be
Honey,
clear.
it's not that big of a deal. Don't
Kill them.
No.
What's the wording on banishment? What's the target?
Creature.
Just a creature.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
One creature that I can see within range to another plane of existence.
Okay, cool. It succeeds. Nat 20.
That's no good.
Dumb.
The magic hits it, and you can see it like flicker for a second. Like you're like, I'm gonna, and before anyone can react, it just doesn't happen. And you all kind of look around, and you're like, okay, it's fine.
Is it?
It's just as you say that, all the branches start to kind of...
No.
It's starting to wake up, but like as if its hibernation cycle was over, not like you tripped over it and it's like, oh, food. So more like it's got pee in the middle of the night. So it's starting to awaken. All right, well, you don't move any closer.
Yep, sure don't.
And 10 left, so she dies.
Oh, no.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Good choice.
Later, nerd.
Oh no.
We could probably take a break pretty soon. Let's get
Yeah,
through
I
this.
might
Let's
need
get through this area. All right, 10. It's your turn.
I jump.
Do it. Do it.
My first suggested
Yeah.
that maybe he should bop the thing.
Bop
Man.
it.
Kill the little flesh loaf.
What?
You
Ow,
must
piece of dog!
succeed
just
in
a
a
little bop.
round of bop it.
Bop it.
I'm just desperately trying to hold on to it right now.
What was I doing? Acrobatics.
Acrobatics, yeah.
19.
Yeah, you land right next to Lucy. You guys are on the same little patch, ready
Okay.
to make that last little sprint. Even for no, I think you can. We roll. You can breathe in space.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is when you walk into this area. You know that it's not safe for everyone else because your face literally, like the back part of your jaw, opens up and a breathing apparatus like closes on you because you still have vital organs inside. So you're not like a complete human. It's more like you have a life support system built.
Do
into
y'all
it.
see this happen, or are you gonna need me to tell you?
I feel like Do we
You,
notice
you
these
see it. You
things?
see it because
Yeah.
you land and it's like
Yeah.
We're not next to you, so what happens?
yeah. And your communication's not working at the time.
Oh.
Oh
so.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we have to make a run for it, I'm gonna kind of grab onto her a little bit just in case I have trouble getting there. You know,
Gotcha.
this machine might be able to help me.
As we go around the circle, everyone make me a Constitution saving throw.
Disadvantage, correct? Because of exhaustion.
Because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not the,
Oh no, you guys.
13.
fail. So
12.
you take a level of exhaustion.
12.
This puppy.
Fail, you take a level of exhaustion.
12.
Fail, you take a level of exhaustion. Your speed is halved.
Oh no.
You now have disadvantage on checks. And
Okay.
no, just checks. Checks and attacks? Yeah,
Yeah.
checks and attacks.
This says just checks.
Just checks. Okay. Just checks.
22.
Third
Succeed.
level of exhaustion is disadvantage on attacks
Okay.
and saves.
And saves. Okay, so attacks and saves. So you're fine. And then, yeah, all of you take,
Their speed is halved.
yeah, which will mean that you'll have disadvantage on any dex check you make to get out of this area.
Okay.
All right, so let's get to our dudes in the back, see what they're doing. As the thing starts to wake up, now it's starting to peel itself up and off of the ground, allowing you to see new passageways, a little less like jumpy, and a little more like runny.
Yeah.
But
Dodgy.
yeah, dodgy, and you are still trying to dodge, like not be touched by it.
Sure.
That's still the main way that it's going to sense where you are. Do you want to make like an athletics check?
Are
To
there
just
things
sprint?
still? I'm trying to
You're
figure out
you're
the
completely
layout.
beyond it now. So
But they aren't.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're all the way. They're still in the back. You're on the edge of it now, and you just have like just I think like the moon landscape between you and a door that's kind of set into the edge of the ring.
Yeah, if there was an option to go slower, stealth your way through, but athletics is what you're gonna give me.
You can do stealth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing is starting to move, and if you want to take more time,
Yeah.
you would just have to be very like
Yep.
careful in your movements. Yeah, for sure.
Never mind. I'm just gonna belt. We're at disadvantage anyway. Let's just do this. Good. Net 1. Let's wake up.
No.
You want to use an arrow point?
Lord, no.
No. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, you
It's
sure
just
do.
fun.
It you are like trying to like maneuver it, and you hear Chester just like starts running.
Oh,
Like it was like he's like, come on, let's go, and you're like we can. You just have to be really careful, Chester.
No.
And you like get past one piece that's moving, and then just a little tail kind of hits your foot, and just the slightest movement. And when that happens, it wraps around your foot, or attempts to make me a dexterity save at disadvantage.
Yep.
No.
Let's have ourselves a 9.
Do you have any importance?
No, I'm all out of portents.
I'm gonna spend a hero point and interrupt, and I'm gonna attack the thing that's got his leg.
With what?
Chop it off.
My immovable rod. And if I hit, I'm gonna try and turn it on.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'll like as it's going, like it starts to whip back, and you're gonna go ahead and roll me a dex-based attack.
Okay.
You got this.
Why not? Yeah.
With disadvantage, of course. Oh no, you don't. Yeah, not yet.
It's 16.
Yeah. You. Well, no, it's moving, so I'm gonna let the die choose. Yeah. You slam it down and you hit
hit the button.
Yeah, for sure. When you do that, yeah, you're fine. It hits it, and you hit the rod, and the force of it causes the bark to kind of snap. So you were able to kind of scramble free, and you're like, ha ha!
Yeah.
And you're like pointing, and as you do, make me a dex save.
Oh shit!
Oh, no.
6.
And so you slam down, another vine wraps around your torso,
What?
and starts to pull you back.
That's great.
And that's the end of this round for you. You'll be traveling towards its inner mass of bramble. Be the next turn. Did you go yet this turn?
I feel like I'm the one who started this whole thing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Okay, so now you have you two on the outer rim can make your break to the door, giving me a athletics check or an acrobatics check, or you can head back in as the bramble behind you starts to kind of animate, and you can see Chester being like.
Why did I help you?
With athletics, I have disadvantage. Well, my speed is halved. I also have 2 levels of exhaustion.
Yeah,
so am I just making a check with disadvantage?
You're making whatever you're gonna make probably. Yeah, you're gonna make any of your checks with disadvantage because of your first level of exhaustion.
Okay.
So you're gonna make another
I'm gonna make a run
acrobatics.
for it. Yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing, Fred?
Oh God.
Screw you, Chester.
I rolled a 3.
With my last breath, I curse Lucy Thane! Or Thane,
What
sorry.
did you roll?
I have a ranged weapon.
Killer rabbit.
A bad one. Let's see.
Oh shit! You're holding the rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll me a dex
The only
to see if
thing
you
Lucy
still have the
loves.
rabbit with you.
Oh yeah, the
okay.
rabbit. Oh yeah.
She's considering going back now.
Is that a disadvantage?
Yeah.
I rolled
Yeah.
an 8.
Oh shit! No, I don't have that.
Yeah. The rabbit flies out of your hand.
Oh no.
Yeah. You.
8 getting back to.
So you start to like take off, and like you're about to like do like a big running leap, long jump, and as you look back, you see Chester, and then you see Appa flying out of his hands, and you see another vine grab the rabbit and start to pull it back into its horrible brambly mass.
Okay, I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
You have to
then.
because you already did your.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you just basically trip and like
Yeah.
don't make any movement
Yeah.
this round.
Okay.
You want to make.
Considering catching it on fire, it's a plant. Plants burn, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
You could set it.
Roll
on fire.
a. You have nature.
Look.
We are in a low oxygen atmosphere.
There is oxygen, though.
Great. Let's burn that up quicker.
Let's do
You're
it.
welcome.
I don't need it.
I respect all life. I'm 10.
Your move. Creep.
I have +2 to nature.
Sure. So what'd you roll?
I got 21.
Nice.
You know that this is because of its magical nature, this is a creature. It is a plant, but it's a creature. And you know that it's resistant to damage types. You don't know which ones specifically, but you know that at least fire. You know that this thing's not going to catch on fire. It's been created specifically not to.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
It can take fire damage. It just will take half from that damage source to kind of explain it in terms of the game. So if you deal it fire damage, it will only take half of its damage.
Well, I tried. I will. I will.
See you later.
Yeah, I will leave.
Run for it.
Make me an acrobatic.
The only person who can breathe out
She's not
here.
even gonna run for it.
He's gonna be the only character left.
Walking away.
She's gonna.
I need. I think he said I'm at disadvantage now, so I need a second.
Yeah, because you have a level of exhaustion.
Not really sure why, because I got this cool breathing apparatus, but.
Yeah, but right, you were just breathing normally, and then you didn't kick it until you were already in the thin air. You're still human on the inside, and it makes you. This is a begrudging reminder that you're still weak. So anytime you get exhausted or anything, you feel
Definitely
it.
leaving now. Great.
Oh no.
Yeah, those are good rolls.
I'm using. Do I wait? How does this work?
You can roll them both.
Action.
She is in action. She's trying to jump.
So
Yeah, just
Okay.
do no. Like it never happened.
Never, because it didn't.
Because it didn't.
Looks like 8 is my lower one. With acrobatics, 10.
what's your name?
It's fate.
You get halfway. You jump. Yeah, I will say you jump. Yeah, you jump away. Yeah, it's not. It's right there at the edge, but you get all the way to the door, and you kind of like almost fly past it. And you grab onto the hatch on the outside, and you look back and you see that Lucy's fell over, and that you can see in the distance the bunny and Chester being pulled back towards the cave. Yeah, it's a good scene. Was that everybody in that round?
Yeah.
All right, make me a Constitution saving throw.
Woo!
It's
13.
fail.
I fail.
Fail.
Point.
It's a saving throw. Can't hear it like that.
Well, then. There. That's a number that's bad again. 9.
Yeah, fail. What'd you roll?
This is half move speed.
You're still outside.
What?
Yeah, you're gonna have to use
Oh
your.
no, I'm fine.
You're gonna have to use your action to open the hatch.
Last
Alright.
time we killed a named character.
Is this a disadvantage, or just
It's a con save. Oh no, not for you. You wouldn't get that till the 3rd level of your hatch.
19 plus? What is it?
You're fine.
Okay.
You get to the door. There's more atmosphere over there maybe. Okay, cool. Who wants to go first? Let's see, Chester. Let's start with you since you're in the air. You start being.
Wait, what happens since we failed those saves?
Taking a level
Exhaustion.
of exhaustion.
Yeah, you take a
We're all
level
gonna
of
die from
exhaustion.
out here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I meant the 3rd level now
How
then.
close are you?
Oh, third level is
I have-
disadvantage
I
on
have- I
attacks
have
and
3 levels
saves.
of exhaustion.
Oh, yeah, that's one more. Alright.
Yeah. So,
Let's get
I mean,
out of this.
well, I
Remind
mean,
me, is this a room full of space, or is it out in space?
You're out. You're basically on the side of this ring. You're out in space.
Okay.
You're right on the edge where like the magical atmosphere still allows for some life to be created. And your guess now is that this thing has been put out here specifically to be a roadblock for anyone who's trying to use the access tunnels to kind of circumvent the ring itself. For creative ne'er-do-wells,
am I restrained?
you're being pulled. Yeah, you're restrained.
Okay,
and,
so I can't do my somatic components then, right?
No.
I just can't. I mean, yeah, that's that's
no,
fair. No, I don't think I could.
you're bound. It's wrapping you up and pulling you back. You still have a good 60 feet till you're like in its brambly maw.
It's in the family way.
Which I think I will rule means that you can still attempt to do a spell that has your semantic gestures, but because of your restrained, you cast it at disadvantage, or the target gets advantage on the spell save. and you have to. Well, okay. It's twofold. Roll a d100 to see if the spell succeeds or not. We'll just leave that up to
if it even casts.
Yeah, if it even casts, and then if it doesn't, you just lose the spell slot.
Okay. How close am I to it then?
You are. I mean, you're technically touching it. It's. I mean, it is holding you.
I mean, the mass itself, though.
You for
Close
the purposes of your spells, it's the same.
Within 60 feet of it.
I mean, you're touching it. So.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Are you trying to do an area effect spell specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're within 60 feet of its.
Cool. Then I'm gonna try and cast Fireball. So. Because why not? So roll a d100.
Yeah, roll a d100. Hundo.
94.
Ooh.
It works.
Okay.
He'll just get advantage on his.
I'm gonna spend an additional 3rd level spell slot and raise the DC to 18. And I'm gonna change the damage to force damage. Force ball.
Concussive force.
Yep. DC 18.
Yeah, it fails.
I'm also going to spend another 1st level spell slot and supercharge it to add another 2d10 damage.
Do you?
There's a big old fireball,
Force ball.
force ball.
Still bothers to correct you.
It starts in a fiery explosion and then it just like turns into a.
I do like the idea of him stopping what he's doing, or he says like, force ball.
Excuse me, it's a
Force
force
ball.
ball.
It's a force ball!
Why am
ball.
I tired?
38 force damage.
Nice. Awesome. You can make a dex save. Disadvantage on that, right?
Yeah.
Make a dex save to see if you can wiggle free. It causes it to kind of lurch forward. It doesn't let go of you completely, but it definitely loosens its.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Nope.
Oh,
Yeah. And it just like you get a good hit on it, and and it definitely like pulls back, and you can feel it. You start to slide through it, and as you fall, it just like wraps you back up and whips you back in.
Yeah. I like the idea that I almost like suspend for a minute, like it just like snags you.
And it pulls you into its brambly, toothy maw,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you are engulfed by it.
Yeah.
You're blinded, restrained, unable
Yeah.
to breathe,
Yeah.
Oh no.
and
Yeah.
You guys may need to leave.
you have to make a con saving throw
You really
to
may
start
need to leave me.
of
We don't even have that option.
the mound's
Uh,
I'm
turn.
like right next to you.
Well, not. I don't know if anymore.
Might pass out.
You guys
That's cute.
try to get the hell out
All
of
right, so
here.
it's awake now, and it actually has turns, and now it's now that was your turn, and as part of its turn, it pulls
Sure.
you in.
Sure.
Are our
Um,
comms working
Um,
or anymore?
they are offline right
Is
now.
there any like fail safe
Semaphores?
like or like distress call?
Only magic would be the
Only
only
magic.
thing. But this thing gets to make
only
multiple attacks.
magic.
So
Our
it's fine.
magic users are being eaten.
What's your AC?
currently.
It is a 19 right now.
A huge that first mass that you jumped over, you kind of look back and you see this like basically a tree, like trying to slam
Right.
down
yeah.
on you, and it hits you.
Does it hit if I put a shield up, or does the shield just knock me further into the ground?
If you put the shield up, as your AC become?
It becomes a 24.
Yeah, if you do, it like hits it, and the shield is like bubbles for a second, and the big mass of vines cracks into thousands of smaller ones. So, and it kind of washes around you like almost like a river. It's starting to become even more fluid and more alive. All right, that's the end of its turn. Who wants to go next?
How far away am I now?
You are from the creature. You would have to make a check to get back on your turn. That's the way we've structured this thing. You're all the way at the door now.
But
You
I-
are 60 feet away from the nearest part of the creature that you could target.
Okay.
Could I shoot at it?
Yes.
Okay. I want to go ahead. I'll wait, and I'll plan to do that.
I was gonna guiding bolt.
Nice.
Bolt it.
What is that? I don't remember how to do this. Sorry.
What's that?
To see if something attacks.
You roll a d20 and
Yeah.
then you look up your spell attack bonus, which should be by your spells. Should be just a plus number.
18.
Cool. That hits.
Okay.
And does what?
Some heavy hitters.
So 4d6.
It happens all the time. Getting numbers that are 2 away from each other.
I need another d6. Four. How funny. 6 and 10 radiant damage.
Nice. And attacks made on it, it kind of glows, all of its extremities lighting up in the void, and attacks against it have advantage until the start of your
1d6.
next turn. That's awesome.
Does that get rid of my disadvantage?
If you have disadvantage on the attack roll against it, you would have just a regular attack.
Great.
Cool. You want to pass the turn?
Sure. What you got going on? What you?
You're still kind of running, trying to get away from it. Do you want to make another run check, or do you want to try to find it? Do something else?
Starting to realize how desperate things are. Exasperated, going to cast Suggestion. Let us pass and go back to sleep.
You can suggest 2 things.
I can suggest 2 sentences. 16.
Yeah, and when you say that, it just flops. And you're able to make it up to where she is.
Okay.
And right as you get up there, you have a choice to make. You said you wanted to shoot?
Don't. Anybody heard it?
Yeah, if he's just cast command on it, I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna
and
shoot
and
at
you
it.
and Poe as it lets go of Poe, so Poe just
Appa.
run or
Appa.
Appa. Yeah, Appa just runs past it, the bramble, and comes up and jumps in your arms.
Oh my god.
Chester's still inside the thing.
Leave me, man. I mean, honestly. It's
Chester.
man, I mean, really.
He's got the magic book on him.
We can't leave Chester
That's
after
fine.
all this.
You can.
I mean, there's really not, unless you guys just want to try and.
Let us pass didn't do anything for us. He didn't get pooped out. Just
Oh no!
for
Well,
us.
it's like it just falls over. He's already inside of it. So
You're inside.
I mean,
of
I'm
it?
dying right now.
yeah, you're dying right now. So
Oh,
yeah, you guys
God.
can get all. It allows you to get all the way to the edge
It
of
is
it.
okay. This is a thing
Oh
that
my
happens
God.
in D&D.
I don't know how to save you without just.
Well, I don't think we're done yet. I think the drama's just rising. So
Yeah.
now we'll everybody make me a Constitution saving throw.
I
Again?
failed.
Yeah, you guys are still outside.
I automatically failed. I'm trained, right?
Yeah, you. No, you.
I should've gone
You still.
first.
It's a
Okay.
con saving
Yeah.
throw. It's because of your. Now you can't breathe.
It was like a dex save. Yeah. Okay. No. I failed.
16.
You take another level of exhaustion.
Okay.
You take another level of exhaustion.
Jesus.
Yeah, do that.
I'm passing out.
12.
You
Y'all
take a
get
level
outta
of
here.
exhaustion. So if you have 2 levels of
No,
exhaustion, your
Chester.
speed is half. How many levels of exhaustion do you have?
3,
I
4.
have to look up the rules now.
We're at hit point. It's maximum half for me and you.
Oh my god.
Forgot that I wasn't through the door.
Do you want to open the door now?
Yes, I want to open the door.
Alright, Takes your full action. You
I
don't make
hate
a
it out
roll. You
here.
just and you're able to step inside, back into breathable. I mean, it doesn't matter as much for you, but
I'm quite frankly disappointed with myself for firing that thing before I walked through the door.
But I can't breathe.
all right. What are you doing this turn? What are you doing? moral quandaries abound, my friends.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, poor Chester.
That's it.
Poor
Hey.
Chester.
Poor Chester. But
I feel like
part of the game. It happens.
I'm calling for you. We're calling for you, isn't like.
Oh no,
So-
it's real dramatic.
I'm
I'm assuming
yeah.
you have just opened the door,
Are
have
you
gone
there?
through gasping.
Uh-huh.
Lucy looks like she's about to collapse next to me, and I'm
It's
not
a lot of
feeling that well
slow motion
either.
right now.
And I believe that we're to the point that
Oh,
this
no.
is happening.
This is it.
Oh shit! He's gonna snap it back,
You
kids.
snapped?
I snapped, and we are altering the universe to where all of us are alive.
What?
Healthy. We are back at our ship. It is functioning. I don't really care if Doc is there or not. Adam's back with us.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Adam. Wait, how did this happen?
He has big fate shifting powers.
Yeah.
They cost him a point of his
Did I
constitution.
know this?
Yeah.
Probably
Did
not.
Lucy know this?
I don't. Not until now.
You haven't
Let's
done
say
this.
Not until now. And I will have a large lock of white hair now
Oh,
on the side
nice.
of my head.
Nice.
Oh,
What does
thanks.
it think you're coming
Sorry
to?
for making you use a snap.
What just
12 actually. I
happened?
didn't.
Oh, I
What
love it.
just happened?
All right, yeah, everything he says happens. You are back on the
Wow.
ship. Everyone is alive. You have no
Wow.
levels of exhaustion.
That's so.
Oh wow.
Full hit points. You level up.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Z.
And yeah, you have Adam back, and everything is as you
Perfect.
described it.
And
Exactly
nothing
as
could
you
ever
described
go
it.
wrong today.
The ring. You guys are now outside in orbit of the ring. The everything that you did there still happened. So you did kill the Baron. The ring is now leaderless. And as you guys kind of like collect yourselves, and kind of like, okay, good, we've that's crazy, and he's like, don't worry about it, and then he says something about Descartes and this, that, and
Jibber jabber.
yeah, jibber jabber, and then Chester's like, but does that mean
What?
Actually, I'm not explaining it.
Yeah, you're not explaining
This
anything.
just
Yeah.
happened. We're
Ah,
here.
perfect. So yeah, everyone's just like, what the fuck?
How did this happen?
Okay, cool. And as you run up to the console to get into the ship to like
to me?
to get your bearings and to scan out there, you pull the ship around as everyone's like following you after. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Like just chasing you into the bridge and the helm. And as you round the ship, you see directly behind you en route to the ring world. You see a gargantuan class corporate cruiser. It's fire red, and it bears the big the labels of the Gauche Gauche Industries,
shit.
and it like
Theme comes
basically comes up, and it's like your ship's here, and then it's like what up, and there's like lights, ching 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 ching. Yeah. And it's kind of an out of the frying pan into the fryer situation every time you fade. So, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be back in 10 minutes or so.
Cool, cool.
Sorry for making us use a snap, everybody.
Oh snap.
Oh man. Be right back.
I
We're
feel
back, space
fresh
babies.
as ever. Ooh, I gotta pick out a new outfit, Juan.
Yeah, your outfit
Well, we're leveled
changed
up.
magically, of course, because you would have picked a different outfit in whatever timeline. What I imagine the fate shift thing, the way it works, is that you literally are picking the best individual timelines
Right.
and cutting and pasting them together so that they work. So it's if we were to visualize that in one of those big scenes, it would be the same scene from like 5 different perspectives where everybody, like, you're all running past that shambling mound or like doing whatever it is, backing up from place to place, and like everybody's dying except for the one person in the one.
It's like playing a
Sit
game
around.
of chess
Uh-huh.
where you just keep fucking
Very
out
cool.
until you
You're
get
like,
it.
well, I'll
My
kill.
new outfit.
You're like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter
listen.
if alternate reality
Same
versions of
outfit.
them die. You just need. It's very cool. Let me see.
She's got a dope suit on. Tailored AF.
Taylor Daff.
You
There
get it.
go. Cool. All right. So, are you leveled up, or are you picking spells?
I
right
know.
now?
I'm looking at them for her. But
Okay, cool.
that we're good enough.
No, that's fine.
We'll worry
We
about
can-
spells later.
We'll worry about spells later.
Why assigning you spells either, honestly? Because of the nature of your clericdom. It's not like you're actually worshipping anything. It's more. We're treating this more like you're a warlock in the relationship that you have with the thing that gives you power. It's more like you're tapping into a battery, and it's more like you have access to things that these automators can do, but they don't. It's not really like you have a relationship or you have any kind of imperative. It's like
No, I am obsessed with it
Well-
unhealthily. I feel like it's maybe like a.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like you would. You know that in its like
It's a secular.
DNA, it's like molecular DNA. It holds the ability to build and transform anything into anything. Like this is, if your goal is to become full robot, then an automator would have the knowledge of how to do such a thing. And you could build a more, like, the most perfect version of yourself. So I feel like your goals would align with it. But there is no, like, it isn't like, do this for me and I will do this for you. Or,
Yeah.
like,
I do kind of like the idea of, you know, they talk about idol worship of like. I like to think of it as like plastic surgery or something.
Yeah.
It's like I must. Become,
Yeah.
So there, I feel like there's some level of. It's just not a spiritual
Cool.
one.
The only thing that maybe I'd say that if there is a message is that it's starting to tell you that maybe you get a big flash of this with this like reshuffling thing, things being looser. Maybe you get a big like flash in your mind, or a glimpse, or a truth unlocks, however you want it to manifest in your head. But that you get the idea that with the knowledge that it's giving you, pouring into you, that you could not only fix yourself, make yourself the way you want to be, but you could also fix it. So I don't know if that makes you want to do that, but the idea has been planted in your head. Like
Okay.
you can tell that if you could fix it, it could help you. You know what I mean? Like it could help you in your goals, and you definitely feel like you know how it works, even though you've never studied it or anything.
Okay.
It's an intuition that you kind of feel. It's not really like a message or anything. It's more like a gut feeling. What spells did you guys take?
I'm taking Mislead, I think.
Cool.
Nice.
I like
I
this.
feel like that's a nice timeline exploration technique.
Telekinesis.
Kyle, that's mine. Bullets. Awesome. I love telekinesis. And you took bullets. That's good.
Pew pew.
What spell did you
A beep,
end up
a
getting?
beep.
Okay. Alright, cool. Don't even worry about it. Yeah. Or just do the thing where you wait to the moment and they
That's
just
fine.
manifest. I mean, I'm fine with that too. It's like,
Anytime you're like, I wish I could do this.
yeah, it's like don't
That's
pick
the spell you
don't
pick.
pick the spell, and then in the session just let you know the next time that there's a situation, just be like, I'm gonna solve it with magic, and then flip through the things and be like, that's my new spell. That's the thing that I can do now because it manifests in my time of need. That's a fun way to do that.
Contextual spell.
Yeah, and it makes it a little more random, but you don't have to do that. Also, every time you level up, you can change a spell you already knew.
Right.
So you're not like.
Don't clerics know all spells all
Oh
the
yeah,
time?
yeah.
And
Clerics
they
know
just
all
have-
spells all
they
the
get to
time.
change them in the
Yeah. My bad. Yeah, you're a cleric.
Yeah, they
It's-
prepare. They
Yeah.
prepare the whole list.
It's like I still can't understand like how that made sense game design wise, but it's great. And it's very easy for her because she just gets to pick them each session.
Mhm. Yeah. You can still only pick a certain amount.
Right.
Yeah, but you can pick from your entire list.
Yeah. So she's
Paladins
got
can
the
do the same.
list and she's got that figured out.
I think.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know if that level of micromanagement is necessary in D&D. I don't even know if it actually, like, we've in the Sunday game we've made it a gameplay point because we were playing with a wizard. So I've been like specifically being like,
I've
oh look,
only barely been playing the spell.
oh you
rules,
found
right?
a spell book or you found
Right.
these things and we're doing these things that involve it. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a passive thing that does anything for the game. I don't know. What do you think, Internet?
You decide.
You don't decide shit, Internet. I tell you what's fun. I'm the dungeon manager.
Level 5 spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No, what?
It's not useful, by the way. But these are all of your 5th level spells.
I want to see clear. I want input.
Just having the names.
I want input.
Look them up if I think they might be helpful, sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Oh, John.
You know something else that's cool?
What else is cool?
If I'm holding a weapon on my turn,
Level 5, you said?
Yeah.
Ooh. Holding a weapon on your turn?
basically,
Mm-hmm.
my AC is 21.
I thought it was if it was a melee weapon.
Yeah, it just says her
Kensei weapon?
Kensei weapon.
That's dope.
And I like the idea
Also Tavern
of it makes me think of how Snake fights in Metal Gear. He like uses the gun as part of the close quarters combat thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just think that it's in my head. It seems so cool to use the physical part of the gun to help knock away blades and
Hell
stuff.
yeah.
We got to see John Wick 3. Speaking of which,
Hell yeah. Love you, Keanu.
ooh, Legend Lore is a good one. That's just like look at a thing and be like,
Tell
I
me
want
all
to
the
know
shit
all the
about it.
stuff about it. Holy weapon.
I almost took Legend Lore. But I
Some
like
good ones, man. I love clerics. Clerics are a beastly class. You do a lot of stuff as a cleric. Scrying is cool. Insect plague, classic. It's like, here's some locust, baby. Alright, so as after reality shifts and you find yourselves intact on board, we found ourselves surrounded, so to speak, by a gargantuan-sized spacecraft, a Goach Industries, one of the family cruisers specifically. So like a private, it has a very sleek design, although it is a giant ship. It is easily your ship looks like a puny little guy next to it, much bigger. You can fit maybe 8 or 9 of ships your size inside of it. But it does carry all the markings because basically those markings allow them to pass through any Goach territory unfettered with no patrols or anything. So it does make them a bit of a target, but only only extremists would dare try to deal with the families directly on their turf. So, this song is funny for this. Let's make it a little more.
Makes me think of an Orville scene. If this is in the background.
Yeah.
So you find yourself in you're from the planet side, from the ring world. There is an SOS beacon. So the death of the Baron triggered something, and in the mishmashing of things, both timelines end up settling into this one, the one where this ship was coming this way, and that was the safest route out, and you find yourselves here. They have not engaged you yet.
Right.
As if they are also maybe affected. They're so close to basically wherever you are is like the point of origin, so you would have affected everything in a very direct way right around you.
Okay.
The ripple effect, the butterfly effect, levels out very quickly as it goes further out. But things close to you, or that would have been close to you, kind of all possess the same line of like, what did we just do? We were just somewhere else.
Right.
And then they kind of slowly, over the course of a few days, or a few minutes ago, they kind of phase into the new reality being their reality. So right now they're not reacting, but you know they will soon.
Right. So are we in a tractor beam at this point, or are we just kind of loose and staring at each other in an awkward
I don't even know if there's tractor beam technology in this setting. So
it was also kind of like James Bond. The ship had a mouth and it was going to eat us or something.
Yeah, it's just right on top of you guys. There's no hangar bays that are open or anything. You are getting a signal, so they're hailing you. So on the comms lit up, and you guys can engage them, or you can.
I'm gonna duck out of the way because I just carry around contraband, right, with my spellbook and shit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna go hide, not in this room. Actually, gonna start rolling up all.
Yeah,
my...
I mean, what in the meta? What was the plan? Are you guys going to try to just do a good old fashioned smuggler's check? This is your background,
right?
So
and that was one of the questions on whether we're being sucked in some way or not.
No, they haven't engaged you yet. They're kind of waiting to see what you do.
The other vague memory of ships this size is they would be faster than us, even though they're larger.
They are, because their ships, they have special engines inside of them that are not available to anyone who. Basically, each the way I see it, I haven't fleshed any of this out, but the way I see it is that each of these houses would be kind of like a Mario style uniqueness to them.
Right.
So the Goches are the most probably well-rounded, the most generalist of all the groups. They do a lot of actual mafia style. They control everything through gang organizations, and work with orcs, and they do everything kind of below the board. But they do a lot of official. I mean, they do a lot of medical supplies and stuff too. So they try to ride the line of things they can get away with, and they are the authority.
Do we know anything about Zarov's relationship with them?
Roll an insight.
Nope. You know what? I'll hero point it. Why not? And then
Oh my god.
totally murder thing. There, it's a 2 again. We're good.
Yeah, you don't know.
Okay.
It could be something from either timeline. It could be new to this reality you've created. So,
Right.
And either way, the fact remains that you know, at the very least, they were here to visit it.
Okay.
And so.
I would also like to roll. I guess I'm wondering if Lucy's ever had any business dealings with.
Oh, we were gonna have you roll roll an insight yourself.
Okay.
And we'll see if you've ever encountered them at one of your fancy art shows. That's the only time I'd say that you or have had business with them, of course.
10.
You have never done any business directly. You've encountered the Goach organizations, but mostly only through their gang arms. They have different types of depending on the different districts of Realm. They basically control Realm.
Right.
So, and they're all named after different colored dragons. So you've only really encountered them that way.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
The organization that I'm a part of and that I work for / worked for, what is their perspective on Goach Industries?
They would have been a
Like
client of yours, probably. But remember, the way that all of it's done, you never know who.
Right.
You never know who's providing jobs. That was like the anonymity was kind of like built
Right.
into your whole thing.
I guess I meant more so like their perspective, like what was I being taught? What was
You don't.
Victor? How did he feel about? Ghosh?
Just you. That they're he would have called them what they are. Like
Yeah.
he would have called them gangs, like bullies.
Okay.
Like they're inelegant. The Goshes themselves, the actual family of dragons, are very materialistic and kind of facade driven. Like they have these identities, these public identities that they project, and they like to think of themselves as celebrities. So they have
Like
a
the
public
Kardashians.
they have a public image. Yeah, and like the royal family, and also like a mob family at the same time. There aren't that many of them. I think that if this, I think the sister's still alive. So there are, I think, currently 5 Goshes alive. They are also more powerful the less of them that there are. And setting this setting specifically dragons, the less of a type of dragon there are, the more of that type of power they draw from. So their CRs increase on how solitary they are. The last of any dragon is going to be like a cosmic force in the setting.
Interesting.
So you guys are kind of in the moment. They're starting to you can see that they're trying to ping you. No one's responded yet.
So
Chester would run to the common room where he had all this shit out, and he's like frantically rolling up scrolls and like
He's
gathering
gone.
his shit. Yep, no,
Yeah,
that's
so,
what he would do.
Yeah, so you're just
He's
trying
like
to
stuffing all his
stuff
bags.
away.
He's like, no.
Okay.
So, did either of you have a suggestion?
I don't know what to do. Metagame.
I
I don't
mean,
know what to do.
Okay.
what you have? What options? What are your options?
I prepare to fight, I guess.
I mean, do you want them to come on board, and do you want to try to trick them and say that you're just traveling through? Do you want to try to run from them? Your ship has an engine. You can try to make a
Yeah.
jump.
Okay, I'll
Do
say,
you want?
Adam, can
do
you get us out of
do
here?
you want to? Do you want to? This is one of those like corrupt. Like this is a rare opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe you're an assassin. Maybe you're like, we have to seize this. We have to get on their ship. I don't know. That's up to
Yeah.
you. But there are, I don't know, 4 ways I can think of right there.
I'll answer the comms then.
Okay.
If they're trying to ping.
Ready to do it if you aren't, but whichever way you want to go.
Cool. I just smash on the button.
All right.
Because I feel anxious.
Who's
obviously.
speaking? You or you? Or both? I guess it doesn't really matter.
This
It's-
is the
I push on-
It's,
push
a,
the
it's,
button
a, it's
and
an
I go-
intercom, and you're like,
this is the
I like that.
mother responding to your.
I decided I like wander better.
This
That's
is the wander.
Yeah.
Because it changed in this timeline.
Yeah.
Responding to your hail. What can we do you for today? Your Eminence.
So and then basically they give you a call sign of a number and whatever shell corporation that this specific. They don't use the name Goach, even though it bears the
Right.
the emblem, and basically say that this region of space is owned by the Goach Industries, and that it's just private property, and that you're trespassing.
So we're
Please
just not
state-
supposed to be here.
Please state Please state the reason you're here, and prepare to be boarded. Is basically what they say. Power down your arcane core. Power down your void drive, and prepare to be boarded.
Wonderful. We didn't know that. We had actually received an invitation from the former denizen of this planet. I believe the Baron Zaroff. We'd be happy to show you that paper, but of course it's on paper. I start casting.
Roll a persuasion.
I start
for me.
casting a spell while he's doing this. I start casting a spell in the room where I've been casting Magic Circle every day.
Okay.
We're going with a 19 of persuades.
So you basically he's like, we're specifically going to question you because his SOS signal activated and you're here, and that's very suspicious. Suspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know about suspicious.
So and he's like, have you been on the planet yet?
Absolutely.
Not.
No. We're looking to join. The Baron's dead.
Looking to join? Join what?
Oh God.
What are you saying?
Look, you're obviously, I'm sorry. What was the call sign name?
What was your question?
What's the question?
You didn't come up with their shell corporation.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry, baby. Got generators. Not the wazoo.
You gonna proposition them?
What else are we gonna do?
Go for it.
Take the finger off the button. Yeah, we're doing this. Any
We're doing it.
This is
I wish I had a
ISD
name.
Consolidated Biotics.
Yes. ISD Consolidated Biotics. We've heard a lot about you. ISD Consolidated Biotics. Can I wink over this thing?
Stand by. And the comm goes off.
I think they bought it.
Yeah, I think we're safe.
What does he know?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Can I know the name of someone who maybe isn't, who would be like the hand of
You
one
rolled
of
a
the
10,
ghosts?
so no. On that insight.
Okay.
Yeah, we already rolled to see if you had any connections to them in any kind of like
Okay.
substantial way.
Have we?
But do
you had-
people know?
You had
like, are there
knowledge about them.
positions?
You had knowledge about them, but not knowledge of them.
Okay.
Have we determined that life sign scanners are a thing in this universe?
Yeah, basically.
So they would know how many people were on the ship?
Well, they're gonna scan your ship right now. Yeah, this ship is definitely gonna have
No, on our ship. They would
Oh.
know how many people are on our ship.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Just imagine if it can cast a spell of 4th level or lower. These
Right.
big level ships are gonna be able to have all sorts of
Okay.
so scrying, maybe even specifically
Yeah.
inside, depending on how good their sensor readings are.
Okay.
You can jam their signal using
Which
your
is why we need
sensors.
to get
Basically, one person can man the
Some
station
good
and has to
invisibility
continuously readjust the comm station, and it eats up their action. But
Okay.
you can jam and give disadvantage on that check. So if you want to make me re-roll my check, you don't know what I rolled though. So
I mean, yeah. Let's retcon that we were trying to avoid them knowing how many
okay,
people.
yeah,
were
for
on.
sure. So you slide over there and you start doing that. This is just going to be something you kind of have to do.
Sure.
And you don't really have any way of knowing the
That
success.
sounds realistic. Yep. Sure don't.
So so he says stand by. You start trying to jam the signal after he clicks off, and nothing has happened yet.
I cast my spell. Can I cast a spell?
Yep.
Go for it.
I'm casting in that room. Remember
Yes, you can.
Yes.
at that room?
I'll allow it.
I was casting
Magic circle.
the
Yeah,
other
for
day.
sure.
Over the magic circle, I'm going to cast Mordekainen's Private Sanctum.
Okay.
And basically, sound can't pass through. You can't see through it. Divination sensors can't enter it. Creatures can't teleport into it. And planar travel is blocked within the warded
Wonderful.
area. And so I'm going to take all my crap in there
Yeah,
and
it's,
just hide.
it's the tiniest little
It can be up to 5 feet.
yeah,
small.
Oh my God.
It looks like
Where
a
did
very
you
nice
see-
little cottage the size of an outhouse. It's just big
Nice.
enough, and it's just enough space for you to kind of get inside of it,
Mhm.
and it looks like like whenever the TARDIS is on a spaceship, it's
Yeah.
just tucked in a corner. That's the only thing about it is it looks like a little house.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice. Okay.
Is Odo's door on?
Odo's door is on you.
Yeah, we're gonna turn that off.
Okay. He's like, "What are you doing?" And
Actually,
he's,
and let's put Adam in there.
oh, you want to put him inside of there?
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
that's a good idea. We should protect him rather
Adam-
than. ask
Adam's
him
like,
to
"No, I can fight. I'm
Yeah,
fine."
We're
move
not here to
Adam. I
fight.
don't know about that.
He's like, he's stretching, and you can see he's got a tiny little twig arm
Oh,
that's
good.
like trying to
Yeah.
grow back, and he's like, "Look at me, I'm ready to swing." You just push him in the door, hit the door, then it magically turns into just a wall with a console next to it.
I have,
Take care of
I
yourself.
have a barrier around it that activates a warded area around the warded area that's
Mhm.
foggy and permitted vision. So it doesn't look like a house. It just looks like fog and
Foggy.
smoke.
Awesome.
He's got this
Foggy.
foggy
There's
corner.
just a foggy corner.
Yeah.
That's
He's
Yeah.
put it in like a shower or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's so funny.
all right.
Cool.
Okay,
Well.
I don't know. I got ammo all on my guns.
Um,
I feel like I'm gonna wait and see what happens, and I will most certainly take advantage of an opportunity to infiltrate if one is available.
All the light in the cockpit is eclipsed from the view windows as the ship moves into a docking position.
Yep.
Quite literally, just opening up its hull and like a big it's just going to swallow you whole. And as it's like. If you just let it happen, it will just on the inside there's a starport that's built up on hundreds of feet above on risers, and it's just little landing pads, and it's very rudimentary. It's not very fancy or super high sci-fi. It looks more industrial and more military.
Okay.
And just kind of as you get close enough, you can feel magic engaged that pulls the ship down. If you don't fight it, it just automatically controls the ship and command ship or something like that.
Jester, can you hear us?
And when you say that, your signal clicks back on, and you hear Doc say he's like, I got the comms back on, bub. He's like,
Great.
Where are you guys at?
Just out in space.
Where are you guys at, Morty? He's like, and you just switch off the channel because you can just disconnect from him. Because you guys are talking, you're doing important things.
That's right.
Can I hear him?
You can now, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
You better take cover.
I don't know how I can take any more cover, but I'm
great.
I'm doing the thing.
Great.
Switching it off.
Cool. All right, so
Stay
your
there
plan
until we
is.
come find
So
you.
what is your plan?
What's going on?
Before you get boarded? What is?
What if we have a gift?
So at this point, it sounds like you're just gonna get imprisoned, which is fine
Yeah.
too. That might be that's an option.
So yeah, if we have no way of knowing, and probabilities are if they know how many people are on the ship, all of that, then I had a smuggling compartment trick, but I don't think that's gonna work.
I was gonna try to get as close as I could to the most powerful person that I had access to, and see what I could fuck up.
No, right now my plan is to
Yeah.
offer our services.
Great.
Because we killed the guy that they want to work with, so
Great. I like that. I'm behind this.
it's a crime family.
They might have even have heard of me.
Yeah, they might have even heard me. No one's heard
Doubtful,
of her.
but maybe me. Down.
All right. Cool. So you're just gonna do some charisma checks on them. Yeah. All right. Sounds good to me.
I guess.
The ship. You can feel the thud of the magnetization, locking your ship down onto the ship pad. Ship pad. Launching pad.
Landing.
Launching pad. Landing pad.
Launch
There we
pad.
go.
Launch pad. McQuack.
Right. Have a hero point.
And you, I assume, then just go and open the doors, allowing them in as opposed to.
I would actually like to go down the ramp.
Okay, yeah. So you walk out, you got your cape on.
Yeah, and you know what? I've caped and I'm fully revealing this dude's arm.
Oh, you're gonna walk around
Yeah.
we killed him, no
Pretend
big
you should
deal.
stand with me just
You're
at
gonna
the
try
top of the
to
ramp.
use that to
You're
your
not intimidated.
advantage, I
I'm
guess.
Absolutely.
I'm interested to see what happens here.
Yeah.
Human things. Prepare to feel, 10. Prepare to feel. And then we open the door and walk down.
Prepare to feel. Oh God.
What's going on out there?
Feel.
I'm moving all this. Everybody have a hero point as we go into this
You're gonna need
Awful
situation.
These are
Yeah,
dumb thing
and
you
the
did.
light inside of this hangar it's a relatively dark and cave-like with shafts of silvery light kind of pouring down. Your ship light is this very decidedly golden hue that kind of cuts across and makes big large shadows on everyone's faces. Very noir-y inside this space. And as you kind of get down there is there's a squad of paladins, so there's 5 paladins there. Paladin soldiers who are all armed with different types of recaster rifles. They all are centered on what seems to be a cleric of the ship, like one of the crewmen, like a porter, or this guy is purely someone's assistant.
Right.
And basically has a clipboard and is checking through things. And just as soon as you get down, they're like, take them. Like, no asking you questions or anything. They go ahead and start putting manacles on you. And it's like, you are being detained by the authority of the Goach Corporation for possession of a stolen ship.
No, excuse me. The ship is not stolen.
And then out pulls out a spell casting apparatus and does a scan and goes, nope, this is FJ 477B Zeta XY2.
Do you want to take this?
This was stolen from the Goach outpost, and just like gives you star dates, and just basically by a Voidwalker. You wouldn't be happy. Basically, are you hiding the Voidwalker? They just start like full on. No,
we don't have a Voidwalker.
yeah, they're putting manacles on you right now.
Just one moment, and I'm going to make large hand gestures.
They're going to.
And that's great, and we're just going to keep doing dexterous hand
You have to make a dex check then.
Just trying to. Can't get him.
I want this to happen.
Can't
we're
get
gonna
'em.
want it.
What if?
15.
Yeah, you get the first one. You're like, oh no, and then two more paladins run over, and you do it again. They rolled so low, and I'll let you get a little space between them. They all put up their guns.
You won't be needing those. We're not here to fight. We landed. There's no resistance here. We have the papers
Roll a
showing that
persuasion.
we own the ship. Right.
Yes.
At
Chester, we
20.
got the papers. Right?
They say, well,
Hold on.
you can't own the ship. The ship was stolen property to begin with, so maybe you're not guilty of any wrongdoing, but you are guilty of having company property, like restricted.
Z, it sounds like we've been lied to.
Roll deception.
Now, recovering company property is not a crime, correct?
No, but you do you have your license, your
Absolutely.
mercenary license?
And I'm going to do a quick scan on my thing and pull out a image that we have of distressed toe core.
do me a deception.
22 deception.
Okay, yeah. As she walks over, you're like flipping through it. You can roll with advantage as she pushes one of your sliders on your device.
Great. 22.
Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, you're like, and she like clicks over like two more, and you're like, oh, that one, yes, right there. And he's gonna take his device, and you go, oh, checks out. It's an old code, but
But it checks out.
But it checks out, yeah.
Sorry, we've been in the outer systems for a while. We haven't had a chance to upgrade our codes.
We're so grateful for your help, actually.
It's a shame you didn't find the Voidwalker who stole it too. You would have really made some money.
It is a shame. It is a shame.
That's part of the reason why we're here. We were hoping to find some leads, checking in with the company.
And they look at your gear, and he looks at the head soldier. All these soldiers just have like these completely opaque helmets. They don't have any kind of like shape on them. They just look like bucket helms that don't have any like I don't know, like a black plastic. And he looks over and like he's like, I don't know, like
You're the
no, they're like the other one's like I think he killed him. Like they're perplexed that you're wearing his armor and like
Yes.
yeah.
No, he invited us to dinner and tried to eat us.
They're all gonna look at each other and they step. The head one steps away for a moment and speaks into some sort of device, a little like phone thing, and steps back and says that very well.
When he does that, I turn Ghost into its passive.
Cool, perfect. Click. You probably would have done that already because they were trying to detain you, but
I was taking a turn your back opportunity.
yeah,
yes.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You managed to hide it. They don't see it. So he's like, okay, well, take them to, and he just rattles off an assignment, something that wouldn't make any sense to someone who's not native to the ship. And they still have guns on you, and they walk you up a series of corridors and to an elevator, and you're gonna have a scene in an elevator. Which you can react. There are still 5 of them. Or if you choose to, you can just continue to let them escort you.
Gonna do some
No,
awkward
this is
head babs because there's definitely music on this elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I could take them all out myself, probably.
I shouldn't say that out loud.
And you guys just kind of sit
Obviously
there.
didn't say it
Lucy
out
like
loud.
looks at all of you with her eyebrows. She kind of like leans in, and you're all like shaking your
Don't
heads.
do it.
And they all like look, and you're like, "Do you guys do anything?"
We're in the elevator.
All right, it's just very awkward. You don't have a hero point.
Damn it.
So we cut to you guys, them kind of pushing you into a room and sealing the door behind you. Think the style is like Aliens. It's all very like modular looking. It looks very practical. Like lots of different types of technologies put together to form a pseudo consistency. This is all the Goach. All of their stuff is products made from other products. All their engineers work with things that were made. They purposely have the automator that they control. They have purposely lowered and limited the types of things that it can produce so that they can create and control an economy. So, and that's basically how they maintain Realm. Is that Realm has the junk on it because they tell them what they can have, and then they'll release new products, and every once in a while, every couple 10 years or so. You are pushed into this room. There's a big circular like couch in the middle, and there's a bathroom. It's a very rudimentary apartment, but it does have all of the functioning pieces of it isn't a prison cell at all. By any stretch of the imagination. And the door itself, although sealed, would be easy for you to hack without having to make a check. What's going to keep you in the room is the platoon of paladins who are outside.
Oh, that's no big deal.
Yeah, you say that. You are told to get refresh yourselves and get dressed. That you're gonna be having dinner with another dinner.
Great.
Yeah, having dinner with the boss. So we'll
Wonderful.
end this session. It's 9:40 right now. 9:46. We'll end this session with your characters picking out their outfits.
What do you want me to do?
Hang tight.
We might need you to rescue us.
No,
at
it's
some
just kind of
point.
perfect because you're going out of town, so you won't be here next week.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you'll just be
that's right.
hiding. You'll just be hiding on the
In the
ship the
closet.
entire time. They're like processing the ship. It's like being put into
Excited.
storage. Oh, that's so funny. There will be an investigation of the ship, so we'll roll that, and maybe you'll end up, I don't know, being
How's
taken
this?
capture or something.
For a nice.
I might be able to
That's great.
play via text over some while I'm up
Okay,
there.
very cool.
Nice.
That for a nice
Okay,
dinner.
cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll end it here with just like in Empire Strikes Back, Cloud City. You're gonna meet with Vader.
Dinner with Darth.
Dinner with Darth. Except we're actually gonna have dinner with Darth because I was always disappointed that our heroes were so damn altruistic and just wouldn't have dinner with Daddy. So
Pew, 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 pew.
and man, it was dragons back to back. We had a dragon in
Yeah.
Sunday's game, and we'll have a dragon this time. But these are the kind of dragons that wear human skin.
Let's make a deal.
They pretend to.
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal.
Oh man,
Into that.
this campaign's going places. All right, cool. Well, thank you for tuning in. Have a good one. Always remember to be to suck it. Suck on it. Bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Instagram.